learn to be a beast, learn to be dangerous.
You've trained the top athletes.
Cesar Ferreira from UFC, he's a monster. They call him the mutant for obvious reasons. And he gets a back injury and 8 screws. I don't care if he was champion or not. This is what you do. Get mentally in it right now. There's 15 seconds left. Steal the round. You can't lose. You can't lose. You just give it your all.
You're not just teaching them how to train, you're teaching them how to think.
What you do right here, what you decide right now decides the man you're going to be moving forward.
How the hell do you look like this at 64 years old?
You know, I needed to be at a conference to do a seminar. And my doctor said, you're in the emergency room right now because we don't know what you have. I go into the emergency room with sepsis. The infectious disease doctor said, you were about 48 hours from kicking it. I never felt I was close to death or nothing.
So where do you start?
I come out of there, I'm going, damn, I'm 64. Is this my life? Well, it turns out that whoever's with me right now is sleeping on the job. Gone, gone, and gone. I fired 3 doctors, and it's a whole new journey. You and I go outside, one person comes back, okay? Don't tell anybody. And Khabib just stood in front of him. I'm going, bro, really? Seriously?
Hey everybody, welcome back to this episode of Digging In. Today I have a second-time guest. His name is JC Santana, and we are on location at his facility. As you can see, the mecca of functional training. He is one of the top peak performance trainers in the world when it comes to training MMA fighters, UFC fighters. He is the man. So on today's episode, we're going to talk about how to reach peak performance, how to handle aging, supplementation, diet, everything you can think of, one end to the other. This is gonna be a great show. It's gonna be exciting. He is high energy, and I really hope you enjoy the show. So come on, let's take a look in the gym. Welcome back to the show. This is our second time with JC Santana. JC, how you doing, man?
It's a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure to see you around the gym, but when we get to do
I love coming here
and do what we're getting ready to do, to me, this is like going into combat. This is exciting. This is let's go, baby.
And for me, it's actually a privilege, right? Because if you're going to talk about, decades and decades of your career and people you've helped, and we're going to touch on things like aging and diet and supplementation and God, there's so many things we're going to talk about. So we're going to shoot for like 2 or 3 hours, and we're going to turn this into 3 episodes. So part 1, part 2, part 3. Tune in to all of them. Let's start with this.
Okay.
Just a little bit of a background on how you got into this world of, let's just be clear too, about you're training MMA fighters that are fighting in the UFC, you're training everyday people, and you yourself have this like long background fighting, fitness. So tell me from where you had that turning point, maybe growing up, where you got into this, and let's go from there.
You know, you see a lot of kids and who's their hero or the PlayStation stuff or the video games that they play. I never had a superhero, and there were some of the times Superman and Aquaman and all that. I never had that. I had Hercules, Samson, and Tarzan. Those were my 3 guys, because they were human and they had physical prowess and they had somewhat of a high moral fiber. They stood for good, they stood for compassion, but strength and all that. So that whole package of being able to be all right, and it's in the control, it's in having the power and not abusing it where the virtue lies. And I couldn't formulate it like that as a young man, but it attracted me. It attracted me.
This was as a kid or as a teenager?
As a kid, 5-year-old, 6-year-old. Wow. Always attracted me, the ability to have power and not abuse it.
And just to put that in perspective, is it true that you were still living in a different country at that time?
Yeah, I was in Cuba.
That's right.
Yeah, I was born in Cuba.
You came here when?
Came here in 1967. I was about to turn 8 years old.
You're 8, okay. So you had this and these are, by the way, American like Tarzan. Those were American characters, right? So
Yes.
you knew about this in Cuba.
Yes.
Identified with the good and the bad, and not the good and the bad. I'm sorry. The way you expressed it just now was like the integrity and the character, and also having the other side where you can flip the switch on and become like this monster, like in a good way, like
the savage.
Savage, yeah.
Peterson says, learn how to become a monster. He
Right.
uses that word.
So you were 8 years, five
I
years
was,
old. You come
5,
here at
6,
8.
7 years old. I came here when I was 7, still 7.
Okay.
And always loved sports, always loved movement, always loved wrestling. I fell in love with WWE because of the same thing,
Yeah.
of the movement, of the athleticism, the bodies, yada, yada, yada. It wasn't anything special, but I love sports, so I participated in all the sports as I came up, which now, if you look at the book Range, okay, it talks about these kids that have a wide variety of athletic participation. They end up being really good athletes later in life. The proteges that are 8 years old usually burn out early.
Interesting.
Yes, but anyways, that was me. I just picked up here, picked up there, did all the sports, tried them, and then combat just got me at about 12 or 13. Started with kung fu, then karate, then wrestling, then judo, jiu-jitsu. And
How far did you get?
in terms of?
I guess the color of the belt is how you
Oh, no.
measure that,
Yeah,
right?
I
Did
never
it matter
even-
back?
Yeah, I didn't even, because we started in people's homes and in backyards. That discipline of the dojo never hit me till later, because I never went into a formal judo class until I was 20.
So as a kid, how were you learning? Who was teaching you?
My wrestling friends. I started with wrestling. That was the
That's raw. You guys were just doing it.
They were black belts.
It wasn't
already.
like organized.
They were black belts already, so
Right.
they put
That's
a
savage.
gi on me, and we were out in
Yeah.
the backyard, and then you learn throws by landing on the grass. And I saw them do it in wrestling, so I'm going, wow, I want to learn that, because of several technical efficiencies that they had that didn't come to wrestlers. So I fell in love with judo. So in the off season, they would take me to their house, and we would practice wherever on the wrestling mat. So I never knew what it was to go into a judo class. And I went into a judo class like 28-year-old with a white belt, because I'm a white belt. I've never been. So I start picking up black belts and throwing them around. And the teacher goes, no, wait a minute. You can't come in here with a white belt. You obviously know something. And I told him, sir,
You could fight.
sir, I've never been in a judo class, ever been on a tatami, ever. He goes, well, next class, I'll tell you what belt you are. And he gave me a brown belt. A brown belt,
Which is like next to
right
the-
below, right below.
You came in like
Yeah,
you came in like
so
that.
if you're a brown belt and you toss around some black belts, it doesn't look too bad.
Right.
But if you're a white belt, man, and the black belts are getting tossed around in front of the audience, no, it doesn't look
But
good.
you walked in legit brown belt. Like that's like you
In my
from
opinion,
no training.
In my opinion, I had that. Oh,
From no formal
I
training.
had the ability. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I had the ability. I'm tossing around black belts. I had
Yeah.
the ability, technically, of maybe some black belt.
And you were 28.
About 28.
Okay,
yeah.
so you come in, and I love that you said WWE because that's not real.
Not real, but
But you're
if you
picking up
learn-
moves.
If you learn some of the moves and you really do it in real life, well, you can hurt.
You can hurt somebody. That's for sure.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're 28 years old. So this is
This is in judo. Now in karate, so I'm taking karate in my teens. All right. This is after wrestling. I want to go back to my striking. So I take karate. So I start with white, and they advanced me to green like within a couple of months, because I already had boxing experience and kung fu experience. All right. So we're at it for about 6-7 months, and I'm through the circuit, and I'm getting my trophies in kata, which is, fiction fighting basically, and kumite, which is point. If you hit the guy too hard, you lose. And I'm going like, I don't get this.
Wait, what?
Because you're supposed to be controlled. It's supposed to be point. So I'm supposed to go like this. The judges show the flag, and then, okay, he wins. And I'm going, I don't understand this. I hit this guy, and I lose because it's excessive contact. So that didn't go well with me. So after a while, they had karate tournaments in the morning and then kickboxing at night. What they call full contact karate. Okay? ISKA. And then they needed somebody to fight in the 160. But you had to be a black belt in order to sign up. So I get my black belt in a locker room because we needed somebody to fight. And I'm going, I'm in. Dude, this is what I do.
Give me the belt.
We went through the whole, kneel down and blah, blah, boom, boom, here it is.
Right.
Sign him up. And I fought that
And you were
night.
160.
Oh, yeah.
That's wow.
I fought as low as 142.
Because I know you now, the past couple of years. I can't imagine you at 160.
When I tried to play ball for the University of Miami in 1979, I got up to 217 from 160 in 7 months. And then after that didn't go very well, I went back to 154 in 7 months.
So you're going through this, and you've got a passion for it's. The word savage is great, but you have a passion like for all of this, for the hand-to-hand combat,
for physical movement,
the physicalness of it. And at that point, were you actually competing? Like I know you mentioned that you had a couple of things they put you in, but were you regularly competing?
Yeah, no. On the karate circuit, I was a regular for 2 years, and then on the kickboxing circuits, I'm a regular for 2.5 years. Just kickboxing. They're not even professional fights or anything like that.
Right.
But they're kickboxing fights, and they're 3 rounds, 4 rounds, 5 rounds, 6 rounds, and it's decided like that night. It was nothing very organized. But I always liked the display of power and then the handshake, because I mean no harm. I mean no harm, and I know you don't mean any harm. We can separate that and get at it right now. And this is just the sport.
It's just a competition. It's skills. It's not personal.
No. And that
you work real hard to prepare for that.
Yes.
And it's like who
display,
worked harder?
You display your work.
Right.
You display your work. And sometimes I work harder than you, but you have better genetics. The story of my life. I outworked everybody, but I did not perform everybody.
And JC, back then, so what you know now, what you're training here, like you didn't know this. But you know now you didn't know back then, because you have a lot of education.
Yeah, right.
You have your life education, you have your formal education, you have the mistakes you've made, the lessons you've learned. So where did it transition from you being the guy who was fighting, right, to the guy who's now training other people?
My last judo competition, I was 45.
Oh my God, you were 20 years, a little less than 20 years in.
Yeah. So I've been competing in some kind of combat consistently. I'm about to taking a year or two off, but when I toured with my band, I took some time off.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We skipped that part. So for that 20 years, so you're competing.
I've been going in combat pretty steady since I was 12.
Okay. And where in there did you begin to focus on, or did you, on diet and supplementation? Like, is it all after 45?
No. I had to, in order to drop weight, you have to consider nutrition.
Right.
So the way I started getting into nutrition is the first time that I had to cut weight was for wrestling. So I'm 15 years old. I go to wrestling, which I didn't even want to go to wrestling. The reason I chose wrestling is because I wanted to be in the early period, 7 to 11, in school, and only the athletes got those. So my buddy said, "Hey, I joined wrestling. I'm going to quit in a few, but I got the early shift." Then we found out that if you quit, they put you in the late shift.
Oh,
so
shit.
now you got to stay in wrestling.
Yeah.
All right. So in wrestling, I get the concept of weight class, which I never understood. What do you mean weight class? You got to drop weight. Why would you drop weight? Oh, because you get to compete with smaller people, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So back then, it was sweating, X-lax, and chewing meat and spitting it out so you wouldn't get the calories from meat, but you would get the nutrition. Listen to this thing, right?
Wait, is this true, or is this something you guys thought?
This is the myth.
Okay.
This is what the coaches are telling me, right?
Okay.
So I'm sitting here at home with my dad, who doesn't have a 6th grade of education, but bright as heck, and I'm eating my salad. Of course, you can eat leaves all you want, but here comes the steak. So I'm chewing it, and I spit it out, and he goes,
"What are you doing?
What's that?"
Right.
And I explain the theory. He goes, "Oh, no. We're going to go see a doctor, because I don't know nothing, but this is insane."
Yeah.
So we went to see Dr. Agosi, my first doctor that introduced me to a 1,300 calorie diet, carbohydrates, fat, protein, partitioning your meals and all that. And I dropped weight. I was healthy. I was eating before weigh-ins.
What year was this?
The coach
year?
at 16 says, "Hey man, what are you doing?" I go, "I'm doing this." He goes, "Okay, can you teach the team? Because we got guys that are, in order to make weight, they're spitting out a pack of lifesavers."
Wait, so this is actually the first time you were teaching other people.
Yes, it was in high school.
It wasn't intentional, but it just kind of
the
happened.
coach
Next
said
thing you
that-
know, like you're like,
We got a guy that
You're
went
the
from
mentor.
170 to 148. He's eating 3 meals a day. Well, we don't understand. He's weighing in with a full suit.
and it was macros. It was just having the macros in
It was
order.
knowing what a calorie is. It was knowing how to regulate it. It was knowing about how to eat
Now,
right.
this was in the 80s?
No, this was in 1975.
Okay, so
75,
they had
76.
no idea back then.
Zero.
Because
I
it's
had
2024 now. They
nothing.
had no
Calories?
idea.
No,
back then.
I had nothing. I knew about protein
So this
shakes.
doctor almost was like ahead of his time. Or at least he had useful
I don't know.
information.
All I can tell you is that Dr. Agosi, I remember him like today. He got me on the right track, and then from there I knew what to read on.
Yeah.
I knew what to learn. So from there on, I took off.
Okay. So take us to
Sorry,
the point. No, it's all good. That was really interesting.
So
Just throw in this for a second. You were in a band?
yeah,
That might have been on our first episode, which is like 2 years ago. Just give me a little bit about that, because that has nothing to do with this.
all right. So
Did you play?
I'm in sports, right?
Okay.
But I pick up the drums early on. I've always been a rhythmic guy. I can't sing, and notes don't resonate with me, you know. But rhythm, I'm that percussive. I feel waves. I'm a percussive guy. So I could always hum. I could always tell the bass player what he needed to play, and I could always just tap on things. So I got a drum kit when I was 15. So I started kind of playing the drums, took some lessons, yada, yada, yada. So I always love music. Two things I love. I love fitness and I love music.
What kind of music?
It doesn't really matter, but it has to be kind of my favorite band is Santana.
Okay.
Because it's the best way to combine about 3 different genres, which is salsa, rhythm and blues, and rock.
That's right.
So the only one that has a real nice mesh of that traditionally for the last 50 some odd years has been the Santana band.
Right.
So that's
he can't sing either.
he don't
He only plays guitar.
Well, you know, he does sing some of the but he
Does he
doesn't
really?
yeah, he sings, but
Because he has had some good singers.
it's not yeah, he doesn't have that singing ability.
Right.
But he can carry a note enough to sing, you know. So anyways, so I get into that, and so I've always loved music. So when it comes time to college, you know, I love the physical thing, I love anatomy, I love movement, I love this. They didn't have exercise science back then, so it's either music or, for some reason, medicine, because I love the human body. So coming from a Cuban family, you ain't gonna be no musician.
Well, you gotta make money.
That's it. Coming from a Cuban family, kind of like the Jewish family.
You
there's only
pick a
about 2 or 3
profession.
professions
Right.
that they accept.
Doctor, lawyer, accountant.
They didn't even care about accounting. My mom was an accountant, but they cared about engineering,
Right.
medicine, and law.
Well, yeah. And
Those
you gotta
are-
be smart.
Those are the 3 things. I go, well, you know, I like the human body. I'm gonna go with that. Kind of.
Wait, Rick, did you know at that time? Because I know you. Like you're a very intellectually smart guy, and you have a deep education. Did you know that at that age that you were that smart? Like, were you aware of how intelligent you were?
No, because
You hadn't been
I'm
tested.
I'm still gripping with that because
You don't
know,
believe it.
Well, look, I'm humble enough to know that I don't know everything, and I'm very fallible. Okay, I'm humble enough to accept that, and no problem. But I'm also a realist and know that I have a particular skill set, and my skill set is not in any one thing like music or necessarily writing or any one thing. My skill set is more the ability to process information and organize it, and I can do that in any genre. Any genre.
And you know that
my
that's
skill set.
unusual. That's an
have-
uncommon thing.
As an older man, I've come to know that.
Yeah.
Okay, your mom always says, but you're special, and you think that's what moms say. Now I understand what she means.
She actually recognized that.
She
in you.
recognized it
She
from
wasn't
early
just
on.
saying it because you're
No,
supposed
from
to.
early on, from
Because
early
you
on.
do, you know, you're like, again, your education, and you can give us a quick rundown whenever you're ready. But you've gone through a lot of different schools, a lot of different trainings, and to the point now where when you're teaching people, it's not just because of the lessons you've learned from pragmatically doing things. Like, you are highly educated, and that
Yes,
started at a.
I have a unique life experience that I'm sure many others share. Many others share. One of my dilemmas is that my skill set is normally not found in fitness. It's normally, unless in combat. You're dealing in combat, you're dealing with people that are not of certain backgrounds. They're not highly educated. They don't come from high sophisticated cultures. So therefore, their ability to think through things, organize things, and come to a conclusion based on a sequential and logical algorithm, okay? They haven't developed that skill set. Well, not only do I have it inherently, but I've been a college professor, okay? And I've written 19 books. In order to do that, you have to be able to take a topic, and it doesn't matter what the topic is, and organize it sequentially. Here's the topic. Okay, here are the issues with the topic. These are the myths associated with the topics. This is how I debunk the myths. These are my strategies on debunking the myth. How do you
Yeah.
like it? Conclusion. And I
It's
can do
very
that with anything.
organized,
Mm.
and it's almost like being a critical thinker. Like
Yes.
it is difficult. I find it difficult to teach people to think critically. Even in my business with my employees, we try to hire people that have the ability through some testing before they actually sign on. But you're right. In the business that you're in, that is uncommon.
It doesn't
Even in my
exist.
business, it's uncommon.
It doesn't exist because the culture doesn't propagate it.
Right.
So how am I going to be able to communicate with MMA coaches at that level?
That's right.
They don't have the education. They don't come from that culture. They don't have the skill set. It's like talking Chinese in Miami. Nobody's going to understand you.
You said your mom was an accountant,
Mhm.
and what was your dad?
My dad was a business guy.
Okay. So
Not-
there
not
was
much-
critical
not
thinking.
much education, but the ability to hustle and make things happen.
So you got that combo because you are a hustler and you do make things happen. But
Yeah.
you're to be an accountant, right? Your mom obviously
Sequential thinking.
very smart. So you've got both of those, and then you saw it. So you were socialized around people that had that, and probably because of coming from Cuba, that work ethic.
Yes.
You have a very interesting
It's-
mix of ingredients.
Yes,
Which
it's
does
not-
make you uncommon in this, which might explain why this is the mecca of peak performance training for MMA fighters, because you're not just teaching them how to train, you're teaching them how to think.
Correct.
And that, I guess it's true of other trainers and other mentors and coaches, but what you're teaching them to think is next level, much more evolved.
I think
Right?
so. I think so.
Okay.
Because I'm always pushing that. And my
I
dad,
hear you.
with a 6th grade education, maybe not even 6, could wire an entire house. I got 4 years of electrical engineering. I can't put on a light bulb without electrocuting everybody in the house. This man,
That's fine.
with basically no formal education, could wire a house, put in a septic tank, dismount an engine, and put it back together again.
Some of this stuff is genetic. I mean, this is who
It's
you are.
genetic, man. That's what I'm telling you. He would make it happen.
That's right.
He found a way to make things
That's right.
happen. The man had polio.
Oh.
And his dad, because he gets it from his dad made him a brace to correct the polio bend on the leg. So my dad, till the time he died, was 2 sizes smaller on one foot than the other. And he was kind of the beginning of a bow leg. Both legs were not identical. And you couldn't tell because he didn't have a gait disparity, that you could obviously pick up on. His dad, a steel worker, created a brace with a hinge that he could wear and correct that leg.
I have a
Are
question.
you kidding me?
So your children are growing up in a different world environment than you did. Are you seeing that this stuff is also evident in their behavior now? And whatever, I know Rio works with you here, but you have several children. So did it pass down from you to them?
It has to.
Have you seen that it has?
Yes, it has to.
I know with Rio because I see him here,
It
but I
has
don't know
to.
your other children.
It has to. If you take a decent person and you put him in a gang, you come back a year, he's more of a criminal after that year.
He
than he was
assimilated to
going
that
in.
behavior. Yeah.
You know, I was talking to somebody about today what goes on in the gym. So what do you think goes? Oh, with my programmer, I got this app coming out, and I'm telling him that the app is the spirit of this place in an app. He doesn't understand. I said,
Because he's a programmer.
because he's a program, right? I said, what do you think people look for in a gym? You think somebody wakes up and says, I don't know how to do a lunge. My life would be much better if I learned how to do a lunge. Or I don't know what a bench press is. Let me go learn some new terminology. No. Somebody wakes up and they're up to here with not feeling secure, with not feeling loved. The opposite sex hasn't even looked at them with bad intentions in 30 years. Bad relationship. They're lazy. They're like, yeah.
So they're coming here looking for, I'm going to take a guess. Is it mentoring? Is it guidance? It's direction?
They don't know what they're coming in here for.
They don't even know.
You know what they ask you for?
No.
I want to lose weight and tone up. That's.
But you're
95
saying that's not what they really mean.
But you say yes, no problem.
Yeah.
We can do that. Because they look at when life was better, and it's always 20 years ago.
Right.
And the pictures of 20, I remember those days. Yeah, you were 20 pounds lighter.
Right.
But it's not the 20 pounds that made your life miserable. Maybe a little bit, but that's not it. It's other things. And your mind
How you
hasn't
feel.
changed with your life. Your mind hasn't changed with your life. Your mind is still looking at that. And now you've got mortgage, you got a wife, 3 kids. Time is tough to manage. This and that. And you haven't learned how to deal with those challenges. So they come in here toning up. And you know what? They want to lose 10 pounds. But they lose 2 or 3. and they come in here and they absorb the culture. You're walking around. You're not slouching around. Joe is walking around. He's not slouching around. I'm not slouching around. Real's not slouching around. So they're in a new gang. They're around a new gang. And this gang is, you know what? Take a little pride in what you look like. Take a little pride in what you're doing. Life
energy
is good.
is like you're here.
Life is good, man. You're moving. You just did 10 reps. You should be happy you did 10 reps. You know? Some people can't do 10 reps. So gratitude. Now you can do better.
Yeah.
Inspiration, motivation, comparison. Go, that guy's 70 years old. He's 20 years older. And look, I can do that. He's human. I talk to him. He's just like me. And that is what changes people's lives. And then they realize they don't need the 10 pounds. It would be nice, but they don't want to pay the price for 10 pounds.
Yeah.
They can do 3 pounds, and the lady now is not a size 8, but she's a sexy 6. But she's not a size 2, size 4. You want to know why? Because she doesn't want to pay the price. She doesn't want to have to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. She doesn't have to walk 45 minutes. She doesn't want to have to eat the leaves and drink the kale juice and all that. She doesn't want to do any of that. But she's willing to do 1 wine instead of 3, so she can still have the wine. And one day, if it goes off the hinge, no problem.
Right.
She knows how to pay it back and pay it forward, right? And she manages her life. She's a sexy 6. Life is beautiful. She still has her wine. She still gets entertained. She still goes out with the hubby. Beautiful.
That's great.
And so you know what? 3 is enough. 3 is enough. I don't want to pay that price for 10, man. That's going to ruin my life.
I love it. Sexy 6.
So that's what goes on in a gym. It ain't training. It's an indoctrination into the culture that you're missing, and you're missing that culture, and you are miserable because you miss the positivity. You miss the moment. You have lost the ability to deal with challenges and accept them instead of refute them or reject them or why me? No. Why you? Because it's you. That's what we're talking about. It's you. So to tell you, how can children be raised right and turn out wrong? It's possible, because you have sometimes a genetic mutation that a kid turns out like
it's
serial
just a bad
killer.
seed.
Yeah, and the parents are like, oh, where did came from? He was killing cats at 13.
Yeah, red flag.
Yeah, hello. So you do have those things, but for the most part, culture is picked up. Culture's picked up.
You picked it up. You're passing it along. We were talking about critical thinking and just the way you think and how you bring that to this business, which is different than some of your colleagues, other gyms. There's some other big name gyms around here with some big name trainers, but you attract a certain caliber of people here. I mean, I'm here all the time, and the people that come here, they know that coming here is going to help them win. Because you're a winner. Everything you just talked about, and if you're watching, if you're looking at JC's face when he gets passionate, right? When you get passionate, this is what goes on here. It's not just your knowledge of the movements and your knowledge of diet and everything. It's this inherent passion and the fire, the savage that you bring to every single. And it's not just when you're training. When I see you training the fighters, I see you training other people, and it's the same thing. Maybe you take it down a notch for some of the elderly people, but you still bring that same come on.
Yeah, I can encourage a guy, which I don't, by slapping him. Some people like to be slapped, and
you're instilling belief in people.
And then I can encourage somebody with a whisper. So the ability to bring it, because I'm not the slap guy. If you slap me, then you've detracted me from what I need to do. But if you come up in my ear and you tell me, this is the moment that you've been waiting for. This is it right here. What you do right here, what you decide right now, all right, decides the man you're going to be moving forward. You can't lose. You can't lose. You just give it your all. Got it? Bro,
this is what I hear.
Somebody talks to me like that, look, I got goosebumps.
I hear you doing it. I'm like, wow.
When somebody talks to me like that, I'm ready to friggin'
You know
kill.
What's interesting about you? You don't have to go very deep to bring that out. I watch you train person after person, and it's like that's just who you are, right? So you go from being, I think you said you were 45 when you stopped competing, and you began being a mentor and a trainer to other people. Is that kind of that transition around 45?
I was training before that.
Training other people.
So, yeah. I was a trainer already.
So connect that for me. Bring it to. We're here now. You're 64.
which I was shocked when you told me that a few weeks ago. Just sidebar, I said to you, how old are you? If you don't mind me asking. You're like, I'm 64. I was like, no shit.
Yeah.
So I'm 51. I thought we were much closer in age.
Now 64
Right.
and 65 in a few months.
And I said to you, how the hell do you look like this at 64 years old? You can't tell from the cameras now, but you're jacked. You look good, and you're in good condition. What would you say to me if I said that to you again right now? How is it that you at 64, you look like this, you got this energy? When we're in Boca, we're in Delray. There's a lot of elderly people. And I'm not saying 64 is elderly, but 75 to 80 is not that far away from 64. You're not going to be like them because your energy is through the roof. How do you do it?
No. Well, some of it is genetic. Everything is genetic. Not some of it. Everything is genetic. Your sense of humor, genetic. Can you develop it? Yes. Your public speaking is genetic. Can you develop it? Yes. So you can develop everything, but you have what we call a genetic bandwidth. You're not going to go beyond that without paying a heavy price. Physically, you have a genetic bandwidth of how big your arms are going to be, what kind of body you're going to have. You want to pass that genetic bandwidth, you can with steroids. Let's for example, that. You're going to pay a price. You have a genetic bandwidth of, this is what you're going to look like when you do a fitness program, 3x10, something like that, so you don't die. You want to be stronger. Let's say that you want to deadlift 500 pounds. We can go for it. Way past your genetic bandwidth, you will probably end up with some articulations that are going to be worn and torn.
Yeah, like why would you do that? You're going to get injured.
Some people can't.
Right.
Some people have this uncanny physicality, and not only physicality, neurology, the electrical system in their brain is different than ours. They can recruit enormous amounts of motor units and muscle fibers at one time that you go like,
You're saying it's from their mind.
Well, it's not from their mind. It's from it's the building of the nervous system. It's a different nervous system.
You can develop that, you're saying.
You can develop it within here. But some people are born like this, and some people are born like that. And you got to stay in there. You don't want to stay in there? Fine. Know that you're going to pay a price.
Yeah.
So everything has a genetic bandwidth. Your ability to take pain, how you process challenges, your sense of humor, your temper, all of that has a genetic bandwidth. You can, now if you're in the middle of the bandwidth, you can develop
Just
it
capacity.
and get it to the end, to your optimum, to the maximum. And there'll be some maximum, So you can always develop anything you want and get better. Although you may be limited to being 5'6". You may be limited to being 6'2". That's a genetic bandwidth. And there ain't nothing
I'm 5'6". You got it.
I thought you were taller than that.
I'm 5'6".
Okay, hey.
That's because I got a big personality.
That's it. Your globe is about 6 feet tall. But yeah, so back to the original. When people go into a gym, they pick up the culture of the gym. When children are raised in a home that doesn't sell out, that doesn't get lazy, that doesn't get tired, because raising children is exhausting, especially now, because you got to govern it. You got to fight against everything. So it's hard to have children now and raise them right, unless you take them to the country and go off the grid. Then they'll learn life. But other than that, they're learning TikTok, man. They're learning Instagram, and they're learning what their friends are telling them. You have them for an hour in the morning before school, an hour and a half at night, maybe close to dinner or so, and that's it. Because if you're lucky, you got them in some sports. You don't have them there. The team has it. And then, okay, if the team is picking up some of this trans thing and this whole woke thing, they're getting intoxicated there. So they're getting indoctrinated there. So then you got to go to dinner and undoctrinate what
That's right.
It's a battle, bro. It's a battle.
I actually moved my kids out of the schools they were in to a private school for that reason. Not because of it was just the overall lack of teaching critical thinking and teaching important skills. And they were focusing on all the wrong stuff that were not life skills. So I actually moved them. It cost me a fortune, but they're getting a different education. And it's the education that they need in life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not
what these people want them to know.
Podcast, man.
Yeah, we shouldn't go there, probably.
The social thing that's happening now is
because this is going to go on YouTube and they'll ban this. So they'll cut ticket right now.
They haven't banned my podcast yet, and I've sent you segments. That's right.
That's pretty intense.
I've dropped bombs that haven't even been invented yet in those podcasts.
By the way, mention that real quick. Mention the podcast.
JC Santana podcast. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
on YouTube.
we'll put the link on,
JC
under.
Santana podcast, and
It's pretty intense.
yeah, right
Yeah.
in the middle of it, you'll get some
There's no
stuff.
bullshit. Yeah.
You'll
There's
get
no
some stuff.
bullshit.
You'll go, how is he still on the not airwaves, but on the
internet?
web?
Yeah.
On the web, somewhere on the web. How is this possible? You know.
So so take me through. So now you're impacting people, right? So I want to get you to where you were doing it for yourself, to where now you have this. This is the Mecca, right? So you've got this. When did you open up this facility?
We opened up April 2001.
Okay, so how many years? That's 23 years
Yeah,
ago.
and
23 years ago.
2 years prior to that, I was acquiring the land, doing variances to combine the lots and everything that you have to do to clear land and put up a building.
Okay,
So I was
you were in
lucky
early
enough
40s.
to be involved in everything from acquisition of real estate, all the legalities that you have to do through building, code enforcement, all of that. You learn
That's an
about
education.
wells. You learn about it. It's just not a matter of put the building here. Why can't we put the building there? Oh, because we have 2 wells underneath
I didn't know
your
you built
property.
this building. You bought.
Yeah, we bought
This was just a vacant lot.
Vacant lot.
Oh wow.
Three lots
Wow.
owned by a
So
single
you had a vision, right? So that is around your early mid 40s.
Yeah,
it's about 20
2001, 59 to that's 40, 41 years old.
Yeah, so that is that transitional time that you mentioned
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah.
You were competing. You were, I guess, 20 years fighting,
Yeah,
playing drums at the same time.
learning.
And by the way, you were going to school,
Yes.
right? So just
Well,
give us a little bit of
well,
all the education you have.
When in my younger years, I quit school in 1983. I graduated from high school in 77, so I went, 4 years. I had 136 credit with no degrees, because I had changed my major like 7 times, right? I went from medicine to bioelectrical engineering to electrical engineering, blah, blah, blah. All right. So we went there, and I said, I want to start a band because I don't want to die with regrets.
Right.
I love music. I was playing as a guest musician.
Yeah. You were that good.
On the local. You don't have to be that good to be on stage.
You're a drummer. Come on.
Trust, you don't have to
Everybody's
be that
relying
good.
on you to keep the beat.
You don't have to be that good.
Right.
So anyways, I'm there, and like my dad, I know nothing about music. I don't have any connections, nothing. And I told one of the band members of the band that I was sitting in, it's like, hey man, you want to go into the studio and put some stuff together? That would be awesome. So I met with 3 guys right here, two guys and myself, right here at where Tom's Ribs used to be. I don't know how long you've been here in Boca.
I don't know, Thomas.
All right, when I got here in 1983, there was a shack right there on Blades and Dixie, southeast corner.
I was 11. Yeah,
Okay.
I was still
and
in Jersey.
It's been a restaurant
Yeah.
since Tom's. Big names now.
Really?
Yes, let's start a band. Okay. We can start in the recording studio tomorrow. Do you know anybody? Yeah, I know somebody. To make a long story short, inside of 6 months, I had 2 12-inch singles out that they're hanging in my office. Okay? 2 singles out being played in WEDR, which was the black station, and 107.5, which was a salsa and a hip hop station.
Isn't that the rock station at that?
Yeah. And they've changed.
So you
I
were
was
on the
rotation
radio?
in 6 months.
Oh my God.
Here in New Jersey, New York, California, and I started to tour in 6 months. 6 months. Here's one of our musical directors that eventually did not become our musical director, writing songs with Gloria Estefan. Okay, John Cicada. I mean, some of the Nestor Torres. Some
That's
of the
major.
top guys. This
Yeah, that's
guy's a
major.
monster. Okay, he goes, I've been in music for 20 years, and I don't have any records, and I'm not on any radio stations. How do you do that? We did it. And we toured.
How did that
Bam, And who's our engineer? Eric Schilling. 6-time Emmy winner. Eric Schilling, engineer for Gloria Estefan.
No kidding. Wait, how did that even happen?
Dude, it's just we're recording.
There was
next
a
to
scene
Cyndi
here,
Lauper.
like
We're recording next to Cyndi Lauper at New River Studios. You know who had just come out? Grace Jones.
no kidding. No kidding.
And we go to New York and we master these 2 albums, 2 12-inch wax, with Bob Ludwig. Bob Ludwig, Daryl Hall and John Oates, Santana, Genesis.
Oh wow, that's
The man
doesn't get any
in New
bigger
York
than that.
gets it. If you see the
I
credits,
mean, Hall and Oates is the biggest
on the album. If you see the credits, it's like monster, 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 monster. Guest musician, monsters.
You know what energy I'm feeling from you right now? What is you have on the wall? You probably can't see it on the camera. It says, "Don't stop when you're tired. Stop when you're done." That's what it feels like every time I talk to you. Like even as you're talking about the music stuff, you're just like, "We're going,
Yeah,
we're going."
We don't even pay attention to tired.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's no time for tired. I mean, it's not like no time for tired. You don't feel.
Well, the adrenaline's going.
That's it. You don't
the-
feel tired. There's
passion.
no sensation. We can, if we keep doing this, we'll go for 5 hours.
We'll just keep going.
Because tired, you're on top of a wave. It's banging. It's beautiful. It's breaking. You're right on the money. And you have time for something else? Something else is going through your head? Are you kidding me?
All right,
you
I want to
kidding?
bring you back. So you did that. That's a ridiculous story.
All right, so
I didn't know that
for,
about you.
3 years.
So when did you actually? You have an education that you've written 19 books, I think.
Yeah.
So at what point did you actually get the formal education that validates a little bit of what you do here? So for those people that need to hear, hey, JC has this and that, you did do that somewhere along the way.
Well, I have 136 credits. I've gone
Right.
through the anatomies. I've gone through the
Yes.
calculus. I've gone through the hardest courses because I did medicine and engineering.
Did you find that hard?
No,
That's what I wanted to
no,
hear.
no. I didn't have the skill set. I had to work,
Yeah.
but
But
I
you
got it.
understood
Yeah,
because
I
you
got
have
it.
the
I
engineering.
got C's in. It's not like I was 4.0. I
Yeah.
knew that.
The reason I'm asking you all this is I'm building this foundation because I watch what you do here. Everything that you've said just now, it all comes into play every time I see you training somebody. You think about what you're going to do. It's pre-planned. It's organized. You have a cadence of what you do. You're preparing guys for fights, I guess a few months before the fight, whatever.
Weeks and months.
And
yeah.
so it's all planned out. And exactly where you're taking them, and they follow you. They believe in you because first of all, you've proven that what you can do, but the energy that you bring, they know, they trust that you're going to take them and get them in the best, peak performance conditioning shape that they can be in, probably even more than they need to win that fight. So is that true what I'm saying?
Yes.
You look at me like maybe it's not
No.
true. Okay.
Yes, and I'm
And
thinking
that
like,
was the vision for you when you opened this gym? I'm going to bring
Yes.
that together. That was your vision.
and that's why I called it the Institute of Human Performance. I was doing a business plan to get a loan with a bank they never gave me, and I had the business plan, 57 pages with references. All right.
Yeah.
And I had a dissertation of the industry. Right.
So you knew what you wanted to do. Like you had it laid out.
My first name, Institute of Human Performance. The person working on marketing says, no, we're going to call it Santana Fitness, but for now, call it whatever. It's
still called
it
IHP.
stuck.
Yeah.
Institute because
That's a powerful name.
because I knew it
Yeah.
was going to be
Yeah.
an institute. We were not only going to do training, we were going to break traditions. We were going to break barriers in other areas that I did not know, and we were going to educate the local community, the fitness community, okay, and the Hispanic fitness community, which I have a huge love for, okay? We were going to educate them on our findings, whatever those were. And we have more findings than we thought because everything has turned into kind of almost like a spiritual, a spiritual cauldron where the training, maybe our training is so good and we have that down so pat that we don't even it's like we got enough exercises, we got enough time, we know what we're doing. Okay, great. You don't have to push the envelope. Where can we push the envelope? In order to push the envelope on the exercise, you have to come up with stupid exercises that have never been seen before. Wrong direction. Let's take these basics and create supermen and superwomen with these basics. Okay, so what's needed? And there's your next frontier.
And you mapped this all out.
Well, I
Like you have a program now. Like the things
I had that program.
The things I see you doing here are
Yeah, I had
like
a program.
superhuman.
The first 17 years were about programming. How do you take that? What can you do with that ball? What can you do with that thing? What? Okay. Now, once you come up with all of these, like, okay, now you got too much. You go, okay, what is essential? And then you start breaking it down. Okay, so now we have the perfect 45-minute workout. Perfect.
You engineered that workout.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
This
But
is where your
now-
engineering comes in, right?
Yes.
You engineered the perfect
And
workout.
the algorithmic, because when you're in computers doing computer programming, you have to think logic, because that's how you program. That's how you code.
And what's the outcome you want specifically? And you're kind of backing into it, and you're massaging it, you're changing it.
And it has to be step by step. So you get that when you're coding and when you're learning Fortran back in the day and COBOL back in the day. Remember
I
when
do.
you used to show up at the computer class? For those of you who don't know, when you first started computer programming, you had these cards that were like this. And each step, okay, had to be punched in. They had these little holes. And you would walk around towards the lab with this box and 3,000 cards. And each one had a line of code, okay? And those codes were represented by holes in the cards. And we saw
That was before my time. I don't
so many kids slip, fall, drop the box, and all of their cards on the floor. So imagine if you have this computer program. It was simple. Create a clock. Create a clock or create a counter that can count from 0 to 10. It was like that. And it would require sometimes 300 cards. And these kids would, by accident, drop the cards. So imagine 300 lines of code go like this and send them back to you. And you have to put them back in order. It was horrendous. So anyways, in order to do that, think about it. We were trained to, each card has to be in the right sequence. So coding and what you call an algorithm or a flowchart is of paramount importance, because that's how the computer does what it does. So that also helped me to stay real focused and real strict on what is the next step and what is the next step and what is the next step towards the final outcome. So you see that engineering in here.
I see it.
But the thing is, why is the Super Bowl trophy called the Vince Lombardi trophy? And what made Vince Lombardi Vince Lombardi? Okay? Did he know football? Did he know more football than Don Shula? Did he know more football than any other coach? No. He knew men. So I'm going, okay, we got the training. Leave the training as it is. We got perfect training. We got the best car. Now we need the driver. Now we need the driver that can look at 3 cars here, 200 miles an hour, 3 inches in between, and know if he's got to swing it, hit it, bang, boom. Now we need the intangible. Now we need what? Coaching. And the last 5 years have all been on coaching. What you heard when you got here, and I'm coaching Philip, what am I telling him? I need you sharp. You're in the 3rd round. You're at minute 15. This is what you're feeling. This is what he's showing you. This is what you do. This is how this training is preparing you for that. So get mentally in it right now. Right now, you got to push. Right now, there's 15 seconds left. Steal the round, you know? So I'm getting him so he can experience the fight.
Visualization.
Times.
Like you're putting him in the moment.
Yes, exactly. And that's coaching. That's coaching.
You've trained, I mean, the top athletes that are fighting UFC and other organizations, but you have some of the top people. Would it be safe to say, like, in the world that come through here?
Yeah, I mean, and we
I know
had
in
Manny
the country,
Ramirez
for
when
sure.
Manny Ramirez won the batting championship. We've had some incredible people that are savants in their area, and you also get to know a little bit about life. Because you're fierce doesn't mean you have courage. Because
that's
you're
interesting.
a batting champion doesn't mean you have the social acumen to know how to tip and everything that's associated with that. Well, what's associated with that? Well, you have to be educated. How do you get educated on tipping? Well, you got to be taken to a restaurant by people who do
This
tip.
actually happened?
Yes. I'm telling you.
I mean, you
because
have
I'm not
somebody in
making
mind.
shit up. No. This actually happened. So
You had a baseball player. I'm not asking you to say who, but who
dude,
came in here.
We had
He had a tip
we
at a
had
restaurant.
a baseball. Here's how I find out
Is
about
this is
this.
an
I'm
MLB
I'm
player?
going to tell you the story. We had a baseball player of all baseball players at the moment. He is the man. highest paid, blah, blah, blah. You can't pick up a magazine without him being front and center.
A-Rod didn't know how to tip?
We had
No,
like
just
an
kidding.
A-Rod guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not obviously A-Rod, but we
Right.
had an A-Rod kind of guy.
Yeah.
All right. How do I know about this? I go to a restaurant here, which will keep out. A restaurant here. IHB, hey, IHB, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we just got finished training XYZ wrestler. Oh, yeah. I go, what happened? He stiffed us last week. What do you mean he stiffed you? Yeah, $200 bill he didn't tip.
He didn't know.
He doesn't know.
Wow.
Because he was raised by poor people in a poor place. He hasn't been taken to restaurants. He doesn't know the etiquette. Not that he's a bad person, because the dude would donate hundreds and thousands to organizations.
And you just so happen to be training him at that time. So you're like, oh, I know him.
I'm going, okay, so people are savants that are highly, highly skilled in one area of their life. They're savants. SEAL Team 6, they're savants. They can take bullets really well. Sometimes they can't take interpersonal skill conflict with family members and with wives and with children, because they don't have that skill set. But they'll walk into bullets and not even flinch, where you and I would be like, that's what they do. But
Right.
they have a very, very narrow skill set. They're savants. Okay? And you find that in all fields. And I learned about that. And then you learn that being fierce and being courageous are not the same thing. Okay? And then you start getting deeper, and then you know what to coach. Then you know what to coach. Because then you know what they're really lacking. What they're really lacking.
Have you had somebody come in here who maybe was a successful athlete, they were a champion, then time goes by, falls off, and they have to start all over again, and you had to bring them back to their peak performance state or that place?
Oh, yeah.
And then they're a champion again. Like how would you approach that, from like finding out where they're at and to get them back to being number one? Winning a big fight?
Look, the idea is to get somebody that was here, okay, and then went here.
They fell off.
To get them here. Now, where this is, it doesn't matter.
What's the first thing you have to
if
assess?
This was championship level, or this is little league level.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is, I lost 3 in a row, and now I'm not ranked because I lost to a guy who was number 20 in a tune-up. All right, versus
Which messes up with your head.
okay,
Yeah.
versus I'm in high school and I was varsity and I broke my leg and I missed 1 year wrestling. Now I'm here. It's the same thing. The amplitude is the same. The comeback is the same. It's just whether you're going from 3rd floor to 5th floor or from the 5th floor to the 7th floor. It's still 2 floors.
So where do you start? The mind first or the body first?
You always have to start. You always have to show them. They will always show you the body. Okay? And you go, I get it. Now, how are you interpreting all this? And then I got to get here. So they'll always tell you, I went down 2 floors. And you go, okay, what floor were you at? And what floor are you now? The comeback is, the concept is the same, but the techniques may be different. The value systems may be different because there are different levels.
What about injury being the cause? I mean, they're out
Injury
for
a lot of times is the cause.
It's common, especially in this sport.
A lot of times is the
MMA.
cause. I mean, we had one of the guys that I would have remembered is the mutant, okay, Ferreira, okay, Cesar Ferreira from UFC. He's a monster. They call him the mutant for obvious reasons. And then, yeah, I'll send you pictures. It's just insane. And then he gets a back injury and 8 screws. Then he gets knocked out twice.
Wow.
And he comes in here, and his weightlifting belt is up there dedicated to me. Crying. They want me to retire because they said that my brain has changed because of my, some chew the steak and spit it out type of,
Right.
theory, right? And he says, and they said that my brain is no longer good, and my back. And what do you think, Coach? I go, breathe, okay. Where are you at right now? Can you do this? Can you do that? He goes, well, I can do some wrestling. I can do some. So we start here. What does the doctor say? Oh, the doctor says that I could possibly come back. And so we started working. So he would put on his belt for everything. If he was drinking water, he'd put on his belt because he was already conditioned that his back was bad. Okay? And so I said, take off the belt, and we started nice and easy, not like I did anything special. We started easy. I made him feel at home. Everything's going to be fine. We have time. You're a young man. I've had backs like this that have done incredible things, yada, yada, yada. And he comes back and has a great run in the UFC. Okay?
Wow.
So I don't care if he was champion or not.
So
he comes from the depths of despair, and you bring him back to full function. I don't care what full function is. I don't care if you're setting the record for the 100 meters, or full function is you can pick up your kids and play golf. Full function is full function.
Did you sit down and lay out that plan for yourself, knowing that you were going to take him on a journey? So did you engineer his journey?
We engineer every journey. Yeah. It's called.
So you applied the same thing.
Yeah, it's called periodization. You know.
What is it called?
Periodization, where you separate the training phase into different phases. Here we're going to create a base, and here we're going to increase your strength, and here we're going to increase your speed, and then here we're going to put nitrous in the tank.
Very strategic. Like you planned it out. Yeah.
That's standard in our industry.
Yeah.
That's standard.
It is. It's not special.
No.
So where does it cross over from what's standard to what's not standard? Because there's the uncommon part of what you do here.
The coaching. And every Tuesday during the employee meeting, I create the culture in which the ingredients of good coaching are acknowledged and talked about. Because if you want to fix a drunk, the first thing they have to do is say, I am an alcoholic. Without that, there is no 12-step program. Okay? And then it requires 3 things. Okay? Admit it, make good with it, apologize and help others, and settle your grievances. Okay? And then change your behavior. Don't drink. In 12 steps, but those are the 3 things that are right. Okay, so I tell everybody, this is what we do. This is what we hold, the standard that we hold ourselves to. Authenticity doesn't mean perfection. It means there is a standard. You promise to adhere to it. Okay, it's a high standard. Okay, you promise to adhere to it. You will fall off the wagon. No problem. You admit you fell off the wagon. You apologize when necessary, and then you change your behavior, and you get better.
This is what you teach your staff.
Every Tuesday. Last Tuesday was authenticity. What is
and you
authenticity?
Lead that, but you lead that now. When you hire people, you're hiring for that. Then,
we're
like if they don't have that, they can't be a part of
it.
We're changing,
man. I'd rather have a bartender than a graduate from FAU.
Yeah, it's hard to teach beliefs and a standard of excellence and like all the things that you're. Would you mind sharing what that list is? Like what those things are that define your culture?
Principles, just principles. Everybody knows them. Be good. Look, I make things simple. I don't want to list 10 things. Pick up the piece of paper. Okay, pick up the piece of paper. That's everybody here will know what that is. That means when you go to the bathroom, there's a little piece of paper. Pick it up.
Don't walk by it.
Don't walk by it, because I go, that piece of paper is your life. That's the apology you don't give. That's the I love you don't say. That's the interview you don't go to. That's the resume you don't revise. Pick up the piece of paper. If you think you're going to walk over that piece of paper because Carlos ain't there, nobody's going to care. I'm in a hurry. Don't have time. That's the way you live.
It's what you do when people aren't watching.
That's right.
That's what you're talking about.
That's right.
Yeah.
Self-regulated behavior. Self-regulated, you're good because it's the right thing to do. Not because you're going to go to hell if you're not. Not because your boss is not going to give you a raise, and not because it's the right thing to do. Live authentic. It's the right thing to do. Shake hands, authentic. None of this. You don't have to squeeze anybody's hands.
Yeah.
Full palm, full gentle grip, firm if it's a man, and if it's a woman, full grip. You get all of me. This is who I am. I ain't hiding nothing, and I'm not bullying you. I'm not squeezing the lemon juice out of your hand because you got those little. It's always why is it always the skinny guys that want to crush your hand? It's like, they're walking around with skinny man syndrome,
It's true, though.
Especially if they're skinny and with long hands that they can wrap them around. You're like, like, bro, really? Seriously?
That's funny.
We're at a dinner. You're going to do that? That's how you come across? This is the first impression?
Do you get feedback from your fighters that causes you to say, oh, you know what? let me change this, let me evolve this, let me make this better, because you're learning from their feedback.
Yeah. No. Yeah. They'll.
Do you look for, like, you're really open to that?
Oh, 100. They normally don't have to give me feedback because I'm already asking. I'm already engaging. So I'm getting it out of you. It's not like you have to say, although it does happen sometimes. Hey, coach, like for example, they may call. Here's feedback. They may call, coach, I had a hard practice yesterday, man. Today I don't feel right. I know they're not lazy. If I tell them come over, they're coming over. And I'm going, okay, what do you feel? Blah, blah, blah. Take today off. If in doubt, rest. Beautiful. No problem. Rest. Coach, I want to come back after the fight. You're not coming back after the fight. For every month of hard camp, you need a week off. And I mean a week off. Walks on the beaches. And they think I'm being funny. I tell walk with your wife until you don't
get your mind straight.
Yeah, until you don't think I should be somewhere else. I'm wasting time. Why am I doing walking with my wife here on the beach? Somebody's getting better than me. Right now they're working and I'm not working. As long as you're there, your sympathetic drive is flying. You're in PTSD mode still. And that's why you want to get back in the gym. Because you're still in fight mode. That means your parasympathetic is down. And you want these steroids to recover. No. How about we let this parasympathetic system come back up so your body can recover on its own, so you don't need all the other garbage you're trying to do, from cupping to ice baths and all this other garbage that we're seeing. I'm not saying it's garbage because look, okay, well, it helps with my discipline. It helps with your discipline to get into cold water. How come you're still an asshole? It doesn't help your discipline, because if it helped your discipline, you would have social and personal discipline, and you wouldn't be the prick you are. So yeah, it's helping you with the discipline and the ability to get into cold water. That don't mean shit.
That's it.
Why don't you show up to work on time?